What a fun Sunday to get to play with y'all. It is the final Sunday in our stewardship series, and it is the final Sunday before Halloween, which is my favorite. I decided this morning that I am the embodiment of mysticism. Any excuse to wear a sparkly dress, I will figure it out. So we have worked all month long talking about stewardship and abundance consciousness and prosperity and the ways in which we can connect with it. We've talked about the basic ideas of prosperity and abundance consciousness. We've talked about it through the lens of gratitude, through the lens of belonging, through the lens of social responsibility. And then we come to a talk that is titled, cryptically, Stewardship and Beyond. It's the summation talk, right? The one that pulls all the different things that we've been talking about together. And we've had such a beautiful Stewardship Month. This example that we have that was created by our own Ralph Potter is each little gem on this beautiful art piece represents someone who thought, is it for me to support this community in financial giving in the year 2024? And their answer was yes. That's what this represents, is the buy-in. It's the physical manifestation of the question, who is MVC? We are. Every single one of us. I'm on there. Reverend Karen is on there. So many beloveds here in the sanctuary and on our online campus have said yes to supporting this wonderful community that we all call home or friend. And here's the most amazing thing. It isn't just about supporting New Vision Center. It isn't even just about abundance consciousness in your individual and collective lives. Because I have a favorite saying, and somewhere Mark Arnold is groaning, but that's okay, we're gonna let him. And it goes like this: how I do one thing is how I do everything. How you do one thing is how you do everything. And okay, let's just get it out of the way. Right? And you may feel the need to argue with me if the arguing is happening in your head, but that's not true. I don't put the same amount of love and energy into doing my dishes as I do my favorite thing. I hear you, I hear you. It should probably be said more like this. How you do one thing in consciousness is how you do everything in consciousness. But it's not as quippy. And I do like a quippy saying. How we do one thing in consciousness is how we do everything in consciousness. We do not have neat little compartments in our consciousness the way we do in our human brain, where, you know, this is the part of my brain where I do language, and this is the part of my brain where I do art. And it turns out, as is typical, that's not really as true as we initially thought it was either. As we learn more about the brain, we learn that there are pieces and parts interconnecting all the time, that each part of our intelligence informs every other part of our intelligence, and what a not surprise it is that it works that way in consciousness too. So as we have been picking up little gems of wisdom along this month, you know, that one phrase that really stuck with you, or that one practice that we're like, well, Reverend Karen Russo, I will, in fact, have a gratitude practice when I pay my bills. Or, well, Reverend Karen, I will take a moment to be grateful for each beloved that I interact with in my financial life. What would you say if I told you that those little gems sparkle through all of the areas of your life? That we, in fact, cannot learn how to just strengthen our abundance consciousness. It shows up everywhere. It shows up everywhere. So when I was deciding how I might do this message, I was thinking about this amazing, beautiful art piece that we have, and how every single little gem has all of these facets. And they each represent a beloved in our community and how we have all of these wonderful facets. And that throughout the month, we had our little swirl that we were tracking our awarenesses on and participating in expanding our own facets of consciousness. And Reverend Karen and I thought, what if everybody got to take home an example of their consciousness? What if everybody got to take home a physical little gem to remind us of these gems of wisdom that we've picked up along the way? Now, of course, online campus, we would never forget you. And so there is a beautiful link popping up in your chat area right now that shows you where to register if you'd like us to mail you one of these beautiful little gems to stand as an example of whatever has sparked in your consciousness over this last month so that we keep it fresh. There's a wonderful reading, Keep Fresh Before Me, The Moments of My High Resolve from Reverend Dr. Howard Thurman. This little gem is a moment of high resolve, and you can use it however you like in your life to keep it fresh before you. So here's what I'm going to invite us to do in just a moment. Here in the sanctuary, we will have the opportunity to step forward and from one of these 3 stations to select a gem and then to just carry it quietly back to your space and sit down. And you'll have that through the course of this message and to carry forward in your life. And online friends, you will have the opportunity to follow that link and register so that you too know that your physical manifestation is coming to you. And so I turn to moments of silence and moments of music from our wonderful Frank Smith as we rise forward. Surprise! As we come forward and enjoy gathering our gems. Beautiful. And thank you to Frank Smith for all the ways he supports our ministry. Appreciate you. So, gems of wisdom. I've brought 3 that have been mentioned to me throughout the course of this month of congregants coming to me or emailing me or calling and saying, I just really had this land in a deeper way for me. So I'm going to play with 3 of them today. They might be the ones that resonated for you, or they might be new ones. Whatever it is, let's just take a moment with your beautiful gem and just center in the glimmer of wisdom that really has landed for you this month, that this gem represents. Delightful. So the first one I want to talk about is the gem of being in the flow. Being in the flow. And this one really, I think, shined forth in a special way when Reverend Karen Russo was speaking in our first Sunday of the month, as well as other times, because of course, every time we're talking about the law of circulation or the law of cause and effect, we're talking about being in the flow and in the receivership of our good. And as I was poking about in the writings of Ernest Holmes, as I am wont to do, I found this really lovely way to talk about it. And he said it's like a pipe. So that's clear, right? He said it's like a pipe in that there are these 1-inch pipes, and they have the flow that is so strong. You know, it's a relatively narrow pipe, and the flow comes out, and we see that flow coming through, and it looks like that, and it's vigorous, and we're excited to have this flow coming through, be it of abundance or whatever else that we like, and we tend to be satisfied with a nice, vigorous flow of good into our life, right? I mean, I tend to be excited about it. And what we fail to remember is that we could have a 12-inch pipe pouring forth even more good into our life. And that the amount that we receive of the good that we seek is directly related to how much we are prepared to embody, how much we are prepared to accept into our life. So what gets in the way of our ability to accept and embody this good? Questions of worth and doubt, old beliefs that we've partially released about things like selfishness and greediness, or even just a sense that there isn't enough, that old not friend doubt and lack that hide in the back corner of our mind, that somehow if we take the good that is rushing forth for us, that we're taking it from somebody else. And do we believe that in Science of Mind? No, we do not, because we believe that there is more than enough good for everyone, that it is infinite, that the good is part of the divine, and that we cannot use it up. We cannot use it up. In stewardship, we talk about it a lot. When we're talking about finances, we talk about it in terms of opening up from the sense of, I need $200 by Thursday, to, I want to live a life that is financially free and abundant in every possible way. Thinking bigger. It's about expanding and thinking bigger. But how might that impact us? How might how we do abundance in consciousness around thinking bigger impact our life? Well, is there anything else in your life that you could accidentally turn the flow off or down on? Is there anywhere where we could be withholding beyond the realm of abundance? Just this month, I have had people talk to me about wishing they had more friends. It can be a bit challenging to make friends as adults, right? We don't have a class of 32 people that we spend a year with that don't have anywhere to go except hang out with us. I've had people asking about opening up to new ideas about work, changing careers or getting new jobs. I've had people talk to me about wanting a broader sense of love in their life. Romantic love, familial love, anything that can be good flowing to us falls under that same group of consciousness about opening up, accepting, and receiving the flow. So if you caught that gem around your money life or around the money life of New Vision Center, guess what? You caught that gem around everything else in your life too. So let's just take a moment inside ourselves and think about all of the places where we can accept more good, the good that is meant for us. More attention, more affection, more honesty. And we open up that tap by giving it, by being the attention, by being the affection, by being the honesty, by being the bigger thought. And so we come back into our room, and if that was the only glimmer, if that was the only gem we caught this day, that would be enough, wouldn't it? But it's not, because how we do everything in consciousness is wrapped up in all the areas of our life. So another gem that we played with quite a lot was the gem of gratitude. The gem of gratitude, of thankfulness. We've often heard that gratitude primes the pump of abundance. Yes? This is not new news. It is new news. I invented it right now. No, we know this. It shows up in all the major faith teachings. It's wisdom that we hear it a lot. And we often do employ it, don't we? Especially when we're talking about money. So I remember people standing up here year upon year upon year talking about gratitude when you pay your bills, gratitude when you make your tithe, taking a period of time each time you go to pay your bills, not to say, as you know, perhaps someone might sometimes do, and say things like, oh, it's always something that takes my money. That is just me, right? I thought so. You're all far, far beyond that. Or just when I think I'm going to get ahead, there's another, right? Nah, a better way to think of it, and one that I've been seeking to embody more and more over the years is, isn't it amazing that the universe knows before the bill comes that I'm going to need that money, and it's always in the bank account? Isn't that amazing? That connective energy that knows everyone and everything and every path and every potentiality saw this need coming into my life before I even could see it. And it said, we better give her some more money to pay for that, because that's how the world works. And that's how it works. So we catch this glimmer of positivity, this glimmer of gratitude, knowing that having that sense of thankfulness is part of what keeps that good coming. Because, you know, if you say to the universe that conveniently puts that money in your account before it's even due, you think, oh, it's always something. Does that inspire the universe to do it next time? You know what is less pleasant than having the money but needing to spend it on a bill? Needing to spend it on a bill and not having the money? So we sit in our place of gratitude, and I know that quite a few of you caught that gem of wisdom because I heard a lot about it. So how does that impact how we do everything? When we anchor in that consciousness of gratitude for what is, gratitude for the universe and the law that brings it to us when we need it, it turns out we're anchoring gratitude for, are you ready? Everything. Everything. Everyone, everything, every opportunity, every class, every teacher, every person standing in the line in front and behind of us at the post office as we wait to mail the thing. The people we're mailing the thing to. Everyone, everything. We cannot live in an attitude of gratitude and compartmentalize it to just money. Which means that just as when we're dealing with finances, that attitude of gratitude primes the pump to bring more good to us, what is happening with all the other good in our life when that gratitude is activated? More of it is coming into our lives. Which triggers what? More gratitude. Which triggers what? More good. Which triggers what? More gratitude. Which triggers what? More good. And that dance is a lovely dance to live in. It really is. It really is. And the beautiful thing is, those of us who've caught that glimmer of gratitude have already started dancing it. And so I invite us once again to go within and see if we can catch an example, a bit of evidence in our own experienced memory, our own life, of how that gratitude and more dance is already opening us up for more and more good. And so we bring ourselves back into the room, and I'm noticing that the energy in the room is getting a little lighter and a little more joyful. And I'm seeing on the online campus, they're starting to levitate above their sofas, which is really, I wish you could all see it. It's really impressive. Ernest Holmes said this. He said, "We exist so life may operate through us and express itself in us. We proclaim the divine presence as infinite joy, beauty, and wisdom, and have gratitude for it." We exist so life can operate through us and express as us. It is there. We are here to be it, the infinite spirit in action. And so it is forever pouring that good in, and we are forever in gratitude for it. The third gem I want to talk about today is the gem of integrity. Now, when we sat around, we being Reverend Karen Russo, and myself sat around and visioned for this month, which we do every year, we did not talk about integrity. It just isn't one of the things that popped up in the many, many things that we talked about. But there was this thread that wove itself through the month where we talked about our values, our beliefs, our thoughts, and being in alignment, and thus living a life of integrity that showed up in every single message. Isn't that wild? It's almost as if there is an intelligence operating in and through all things that will make itself known. It's a thing to consider. So when we're talking about integrity, for anyone who missed any of those messages, we are not talking about some list of morals or rules that you must follow or you are not in integrity. That just isn't quite how we do it here. We're talking about being deeply aware of your own beliefs, what you think is important, which is different than anybody else. To be so centered and so aware of those beliefs that your behaviors naturally operate from that place, so that when you are making choices in your life, you are inherently and consistently completely lined up with those beliefs. That is living a life where your beliefs, your thoughts, your speech, and your action are integral. Integrity. And when one lives a life of integrity, everything looks different. Everything looks different. It affects how we work. Sometimes it affects what job we do. It affects how we show up in relationship. It affects the very thoughts in our mind. It certainly affects how we use our energy that we have. And our energy is very recognizable as our time, our talents, and our treasure. What we put our efforts into, what we donate money toward, how we choose what companies to purchase from, it shows up everywhere. And certainly it causes us to be a more empowered being in the flow of life. When everything that we are about lines up with our beliefs, we are voting with our words, with our feet, with our pennies, with our decision of what restaurant to go to. We are making choices and impacting how the world is operating, especially in a capitalist society. Our money choices deeply impact how things unfold. And this is a good thing. This is a freedom that we have. This is a way to impact the planet in every single moment of our life. So that's how we talk about in stewardship, especially, is what we give to, how we spend our money, how we utilize it. But if how I do one thing in consciousness is how I do everything in consciousness, then what else is getting impacted by my choice to live in alignment, to live in integrity with my own life? So once again, we're going to check in on the inside of ourselves. Where in your life over this last month have you made a decision that is more in alignment with your truth than you might have at a different time in your experience? In a friendship, in a work situation, in a walking out of your own spiritual practice. And as we bring our attention once again back into this physical space, it's easy to see how this gem, this glimmer of an idea that we have caught, how it impacts everything about how we show up in the world and how the world responds to us. Ernest Holmes said this in a book that is no longer in print called Think Your Troubles Away. He wrote, "Each person in the integrity of their own soul can enter into universal goodness and take from it as much as they are ready to receive." Each of us in the integrity of our own soul, when we act from that space, we have our hand on that spigot, on that pipe. And we are opening it and opening it and opening it and widening it and widening it until the waterfall is gushing through, bringing every good thing we have sought and the good that is for us that we haven't even imagined yet. It is right here where we are. And these little glimmers are not little. And we will hold fast before us the moments of our high resolve, so that we know that we are a place where Spirit is showing up powerfully and beautifully, that we are a place where change is being born. A final thought, I found it in the Science of Mind textbook, and I couldn't leave it out because it was too good. Ernest says, God cannot help making the gift because God is the gift. All of that good that we seek to call into our lives is infinite spirit, the one infinite reality, God, the beloved one, whatever your favorite name for it is. And even if one does not believe in a deity at all, but is able to connect with the idea that there are laws underlying the nature of the universe, it is that too. It is that too. And we call it in, we accept it. We bless it, we have gratitude for it, we walk in it, and it is good. And so it is. So let us anchor this in with some prayer. How good it is to stand in the sparkle of the gems of wisdom that are physical and imagined, that are symbols and that are walked out every single day of our lives, to know that Spirit is right where we are, that it is indwelling. It lives in us, as us, and in it we live and move and have our being. How good it is to know that there is good for each of us, and as Emma Curtis Hopkins, our great teacher, says, we ought to have it. And the entire universe is conspiring to bring that good into our lives as we open up to receive it, and as we pass it forward in the giving to keep that circulation moving. What I know is that every concern on every heart that got carried into this space, this physical space and this digital space, that it is already being supported, loved up, and healed by that one presence that is everywhere. And so with grateful heart, I call all of that good and very, very good. And so it is.